deployed. Ultimatum protocol.
Grow! Share my knowledge!
By the Frostman of old, receive my blessing.
Lauma has been released in Genshin Impact. Took me way too many wishes to get her. Around about 2 hours of farming on multiple worlds just to get her to at least level 80. And after playing with her on stream, I have some thoughts. Hello everyone. Welcome back. Lauma is, you'll never believe this, pretty good. She works really well out of the box with even a pretty scuffed looking Deepwood build. That's all I've had the opportunity to try her out with so far, because the closest thing I can make to, let's say, a Gilded Dreams build would be my super high ranked Tighnari build on Akasha that I now use on him. I'll do a video on him later. So even with a build that has less than 130 crit damage, I'm still getting quite a fair bit of serotonin from her hold skill's direct Lunar Bloom damage with the 90 to 110k hits, so that's actually pretty nice. What I am really surprised by, and what I may have underestimated, is how much EM you can actually end up with Lauma. I figured it'd be a bit of a fight to balance crit and EM to maintain at least 800 EM for the various thresholds that she has in her abilities, but I may have forgotten momentarily that she also has that hidden base 200 EM, which means I don't even need to try and take advantage of something like Dendro Resonance or Gilded Dreams buff to quite easily get above 800 EM. In fact, I find myself running around 1000 EM just cuz, and this is pretty important for two key parts of her kit. The first one is Bloom Gin, and the second one is her C1 healing. I'll talk about Bloom Gin in a second, but I'm actually rather surprised at how good her C1 healing is. Without even using a healing hat, because, you know, I don't want to, 1000 EM results in 5000 healing for the on-fielder every time a Lunar Bloom reaction is triggered. Now, I believe this happens about once every 2.5 seconds. Still nowhere near Shillinen tier healing, which, by the way, for those who don't know, is actually 10k healing every 1.5 seconds for the on-fielder. But as it turns out, just like Shinobu, Lauma can actually heal a Farina team, at least for the most part. And in order to heal a Farina team with someone like Lauma, what we're going to do is we're going to start with Lauma's skill into Farina, pop in her ult as well. The healing has in fact already begun. Setting up the rest of the team here. We can use Lauma's ult and do a bunch of damage with her hold skill, and in this case we'll pop Miko's ult mainly just to avoid some damage. And at this point we can see that we have just under 20% incoming healing bonus, which does mean we're not fully healing a Farina team to get all of the fanfare stacks per se, but we are at least getting enough fanfare stacks to basically get a Yelan buff on everyone on the team. Speaking of teams, I find myself addicted to two teams in particular with Lauma. The first one is Nilou, and the second one is Quick Bloom Tighnari. As was prescribed at this point, Lauma is a huge buff to Nilou Teams. We can see it in the numbers coming out of the blooms that we're doing. If I were to compare my old Nilou team with my new Nilou team, just looking at the difference between the crit blooms, this tells us pretty much everything we need to know. Remember, in this comparison, there's two main things contributing to the extra damage: the extra res shred, and of course, Bloom Gin. Bloom Gin should be running out pretty quickly, but honestly I haven't been paying too much attention to it. The extra res shred has been noticeable regardless, and on top of that, I've had a hilarious time playing Nilou Teams in single target gameplay that worked out pretty well. The Gun Lancer local legend has a shield that is susceptible to Dendro damage, but it is also particularly weak to Lunar Bloom damage. In AoE content, no surprises here. She is, of course, insane DPS. However, I thought what would be the most hilarious AoE content farm for Nilou Teams turned out to be not as good. The Vishap's challenge in the bottom of the Remuria Sea. The Vishaps start off just spread out enough that you can't hit them all with Nilou's Hydro app from even her ult to trigger the blooms that kill everyone. And because they're so spread out, you can't hit everyone with Lauma's Dendro app either to get the unnecessarily additional res shred on them. So funnily enough, Nahida's hold skill can actually tag them all, once again highlighting how useful her pseudo infinite AoE range is. And whilst I've previously been a huge fan of on-field Candace, and by the way, I still am a huge fan of on-field Candace, I've started to grow a fondness for on-field Tortellini with his unfathomable Hydro app, resulting in even more blooms than, I think, even more damage. And he can use the Cloud Forged bow with his special ranged ult to get 80 EM, so that's actually pretty hilarious. Nilou Teams are amazing with Lauma. that should remain obvious for the foreseeable future. The other team archetypes that I have been playing a lot with Lauma are the various Quick Bloom Tighnari Teams. Behold! We're inviting a character, and his name is Big T Tighnari. Are you sure you want to invite Tighnari? You goddamn right I do. Thank you. And why, ladies and gentlemen, do I want to invite Big T Tighnari? C6 Tighnari, let's go. It's time. It's time to witness the wrath of Tighnari. And he is a lot of fun. Playing him did remind me that we still can't change right click to something other than sprint, but that's an entire conversation we can have later on. And this brings us back to the healing thing that I was talking about earlier, and how it seems like C1 Lauma's healing is enough for the most part for these very quick swappy Tighnari teams with Farina. As of writing and recording my voice, I don't know for a fact if C1 Lauma is better or worse than C2 Nahida in these teams, but this side-by-side should give us a better idea of what's going on. And before someone gets mad in the comments, listen, look, just take this for what it's worth, okay? It is what it is, alright? Because my Lauma is also level 80, by the way. But while I was playing with these Quick Bloom Tighnari teams, I discovered the most hilarious thing in Spiral Abyss, which I've already posted a short about, and that is Lauma's Centaur mode and how it can actually scale the pillar boss's pillars. So the Lauma variants of these teams do not need someone like Clorinde, Kachina, Mawika, Shangyun, or even Zhongli to be able to deal with that mechanic, nor do we need, in my opinion, the scuffed jump mechanic that characters with the same model size as, let's say, Chevreuse are able to pull off. I'm not going to say that you should pull Lauma just for that, but this does seem like a particularly hilarious hidden bonus that she has. Oh, and by the way, Pillar Boss actually has, apparently, a 60% res at base, so this is one of those rare opportunities where Deepwood Lauma doesn't actually result in some res shred having like half the effect, which is pretty good. It means the value of it is very good, which means I would argue that Lauma is probably what I would call particularly effective against this boss. Also, I had put together a Fruit of Fulfillment prior to Notcry's release, thinking that this weapon would be the one I want to use. But now I find myself using Sackfrax instead. Sackfrax actually lets me start Lauma's C1 healing immediately with a tap skill, so that in a Nilou team, for example, I can set up everyone else whilst healing them. This is also helping in some occasions where I don't, for whatever reason, start with any Verdant Dew. Then I can hold skill without having to wait the full 12-second cooldown and get a full-powered Lunar Bloom hit that does a lot of damage. The rest of the time, it's just sticking with the on-fielder until I notice Lauma's off-field Dendro has finished up. Then I do another hold skill, which might get a reset. I don't know, of course, being aware enough of that particular reset to swap back about 7.5 seconds later, if possible, to get another hold skill out. Or just say screw it and reset the 2 seconds left in my hold skill cooldown anyway. Look, it's finicky, but it has been pretty helpful. Plus, the 221 EM is in fact very, very useful. Before we wrap up this video, I just want to address a question that I got in the top 5 Lauma teams video.
Si fuera a usar Clorinde con Lauma, ¿podré usar Xingqiu y Ororón? ¿O cuál sería la recomendación?
That team works absolutely perfectly fine. Xingqiu is that kind of hydro app that is so overwhelming that occasionally some electro charge will happen, which will trigger Ororon's off-field AoE electro damage. But it will also mean less blooms, which may mean less hyper blooms. So look, I haven't built my Ororon all that much, by the way, so don't look at this footage and think, wow, Kate is cap and this is trash. The point is the team functions pretty well, pretty much as you'd expect. So if these characters are the ones you like, or simply the ones that you have available, then go for it. Assuming you didn't go for C1 Lauma, the one concern that I'd have would be healing for the rest of the team. Clorinde is a-okay by herself, but Xingqiu's very small healing isn't going to cut it if you accidentally screw up. So if it ends up being a concern, I wonder if you'd have Kokomi, Shinobu, Dori, Sigvin even, Barbara, but you'd have to hug enemies to swap with their relevant element slots. So those are my initial impressions of Lauma. She's really strong in these Bloom teams, of course, and I'll probably keep using her specifically for the Bloom archetype like I mentioned before, because, you know, obviously this is where she shines the most. Next, I'll be spending some more time playing with her and Zeno and maybe Clorinde as well, see how she feels in those kinds of teams. Alright, that's basically it. Let me know if you want all of this in the comments below. How do you feel about Lauma? Did you get her? And what are your favorite teams with Lauma? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
By the frost man of old, lush as the moon.
Right here. Emerge.
I hear everything.